Good morning class, how are you? I hope all are well. So in this class I'm going to teach you the story that is The Winged Monkey from Oxford Reading Circle Book 5. So let's get started. First I will give the questions and I will explain details about them. I read the story thoroughly and underline the difficult word. So let's get started. Number one question, that is, why did Dorothy and her friends want to go Emerald City? Why? What's the reason? So reason that is the Dorothy and her friends were traveling to the Emerald City to find the brain of a Scarecrow and the heart of Teen Woodman. And number two, can you explain why the winged monkey agreed to help Dorothy and others? So you will explain details about that and your own word, right? So you read the story thoroughly and find the answer your way. So what's the reason why the winged monkey agreed to help Dorothy? So reason that because they had to vow to fulfill 3 wishes of the wearer of the golden cap. That is the reason. Number three question, that is, compare Quelala's response to the joke that winged monkey played on him with Gayelette's response, and how and why were their response different. So that is the reason that Quelala's response was very different from Gayelette's response, because he was a man wise beyond his age and Gayelette was very furious as she loved Quelala extremely. That is the reason, guys. Alright, now I'm going to give you some reference context, that is, read this line from the story, then give the question answer. So here is some question. So what's the line here? She lived in a handsome palace built from a great blocks of ruby. So here is a question A, that is, who is being described? So here is a Gayelette, a beautiful princess. She is also a powerful sorcerer. Number B question, what do people think of this person? So everyone loves her because she uses all her magic to help people and never hurts anyone who was a good Christian. So here's a number C question, that is, which details in the story tells us this person is rich? So she lives in a palace built from blocks of ruby. Ruby is expensive blocks. And also here is her fiance is dressed in a rich costume of pink silk and purple velvet. That is also expensive fabrics that person wear. Number two, that is, the old fellow loved a joke better than a good dinner. So this is the line. So you need to give some question answer. Number A, that is, who says this word and to whom? So the king of the winged monkey says this to, who is the person? Dorothy. Number B question, that is, who is speaker describing? So here is a speaker is describing his grandfather. Who is the person? That is the person grandfather. Number C, that is, write the sentence in your own words while keep the same meaning. So the person loved to play a trick and laugh more than he loved a good meal. So that is the situation, the story. Number 3, that is the line, then Dorothy lost heart. So number A, what does this mean? What does this mean? So Dorothy is disappointed and loves her will be carry on. And number B, why does she lose heart? So why? What's the reason? Reason that Dorothy loses heart because her companions are convinced that they are lost and that they will never reach on Emerald City. Number C, that is, what idea does she have after this? So Dorothy thinks of asking the field mice to help them field their way to Emerald City. So that is the idea of after this. So guys, I hope that's all for today. Thank you for watching and see you soon with another new video, new class. Till then, take care and good luck your English language test. Thank you so much, guys. The Winged Monkeys, Chapter 12. There was no road between the castle of the Winged Witch and the Emerald City. They knew they must go straight east toward the rising sun, and they started off in the right way. But at noon, when the sun was over their heads, they did not know which was east and which was west, and that was the reason they were lost in the great fields. They kept on walking. However, and at night the moon came out and shone brightly, so they lay down and slept soundly until morning. The next morning, the sun was behind a cloud, but they started on as if they were quite sure which way they were going. If we walk far enough, said Dorothy, I'm sure we shall sometime come to some place. But days passed, and they still saw nothing before them but the scarlet fields. The Scarecrow began to grumble a bit. So scarlet means means brilliant red color, and here's a scarecrow. Scarecrow is an object that looks like a person or any object that is the stands in a field or a garden to frighten away. And grumble, that is the complaint, which means woman who is believed to have magical powers. We have lost our way, he said, and unless we find it again in time to reach the Emerald City, I shall never get my brains, nor I my heart, declared the Tin Woodman. You see, said the cowardly lion with a whimper, I haven't the courage to keep trapping forever without getting anywhere at all. Then Dorothy lost heart. She sat down on the grass and looked at her companions, and they sat down and looked at her as if to ask what they should do next. Suppose we call the field mice, she suggested. They could probably tell us the way to the Emerald City. Yes, cried the Scarecrow. Why didn't we think of that before? Dorothy blew the little whistle the Queen of the Mice had given to her. In a few minutes, many of the small gray mice came running up to her. Among them was Queen herself, who asked in her squeaky little voice, "What can I do for my friends?" So here is a tramping means to walk, or especially long distance or with a heavy steps. And whimper, here is a word. Whimper means weak sound, expressing pain. Courage means bravery, strength to do something despite pain or hardship. We are lost, said Dorothy. Can you tell us where the Emerald City is? Certainly, answered the Queen. Then she noticed Dorothy's golden cap and said, Why don't you use the charm of the cap and call the winged monkeys to you? They will carry you to the City of Oz in less than an hour. I didn't know there was a charm, answered Dorothy in surprise. What is it? It is written inside the golden cap, replied the Queen of the Mice. But if you are going to call the winged monkeys, you must run away, for they are full of mischief and think it's great fun to plague us. And won't they hurt me? Won't they hurt me? Asked the girl anxiously. Oh no, they must obey the wearer of the cap. So here is a plague, that means to cause worry, and mischief means behavior, and charm means an object, an action, or saying that has magical powers. Goodbye. And she scampered means run with small quick steps out of sight, with all the mice hurrying after her. Dorothy looked inside the golden cap and saw some words written upon the lining. These, she thought, must be the charm. So she read the directions carefully and put the cap upon her head. Ippy pippy keki, she said, standing on her left foot. What did you say? Asked the Scarecrow, who did not know what she was doing. Hello, 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 Dorothy went on, standing this time on her right foot. Hello, replied the Tin Woodman calmly. Jidji, Judji, Jik, said Dorothy, who was now standing on both feet. These ended the saying of the charm, and they heard a great chattering and flapping of wings as the band of winged monkeys flew up to them. The king bowed low before Dorothy and asked, what is your command? We wish to go to the Emerald City, said the child, and we have lost our way. We will carry you, replied the king, and no sooner had he spoken than two of the monkeys caught Dorothy in their arms and flew away with her. Others took the Scarecrow and the Woodman and the lion and the one little monkey-sized Toto and flew after them. The Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman were rather frightened at first, for they remembered how badly the winged monkeys had treated them before, but they saw that no harm was intended, so they rode through their air quite cheerfully and had a fine time looking at the pretty gardens and woods far below them. Dorothy found herself riding easily between two of the biggest monkeys, one of them the king himself. They had made a chair of their hands and were careful not to hurt her. Why do you have to obey the charm of the golden cap? She asked. That is a long story. That is a long story, answered the king with a laugh. But as we have a long journey before us, I will tell you about it if you wish. I shall be glad to hear it, she replied. Once began the leader, we were a free people, living happily in the great forest and doing just as we pleased without calling anybody master. Perhaps some of us were rather too full of mischief at times, flying down to pull the tails of the animals that had no wings, chasing birds and throwing nuts at the people who walked in the forest. But we were careless and happy and full of fun and enjoyed every minute of the day. This was many years ago. There lived here then a beautiful princess who was also a powerful sorceress. All her magic was used to help the people. She was never known to hurt anyone who was good. Her name was Gayelette, and she lived in a handsome palace built from great blocks of ruby. Everyone loved her, but her greatest sorrow was that she could find no one to love in return, since all the men were much too stupid and ugly to marry one so beautiful and wise. At last, however, she found a man who was handsome and manly and wise beyond his years. Quelala, as he was called, and was said to be the best and wisest man in all the land, while his manly beauty was so great that Gayelette loved him dearly and hastened to make everything ready for the wedding. My grandfather was at that time the king of the winged monkey, and the old fellow loved a joke better than a good dinner. One day, just before the wedding, the grandfather was flying out with his band when he saw Quelala walking beside the river. He was dressed in a rich costume of pink silk and purple velvet, and the grandfather thought he would see what he could do. At his word, the band flew down and seized Quelala and carried him in their arms until they were over the middle of the river and then dropped him into the water. Quelala laughed and swam into shore, but when Gayelette came running out to him, she found his silks and velvet all ruined by the river. The princess was angry, and she knew, of course, who did it. She had all the winged monkeys brought before her, and she said at first that their wings should be tied and they should be treated or as they had treated Quelala and dropped in the river. But my grandfather pleaded hard, for he knew the monkeys would drown in the river with their wings tied, and Quelala said a kind word for them also. So the Gayelette finally spared them on condition that the winged monkeys should ever after do 3 times the bidding of the owner of the golden cap. Of course, my grandfather and all the other monkeys at once agreed to the condition, and that is how it happens that we are 3 times the slaves of the honor of the golden cap, who is over he may be. And what became of them? Asked Dorothy, who had been greatly interested in the story. Quelala, being the first owner of the golden cap, replied the monkey, he was the first to lay his wishes upon us. As his bride could not bear the sight of us, he ordered us always to keep where she could never again set eyes on the winged monkey, which we were glad to do, for we were all afraid of her. This was all we ever had to do until the golden cap fell into the hands of the winged. This was all we ever had to do until the golden cap fell into the hands of the wicked witch of the west. Now the golden cap is yours, and 3 times you have the right to lay your wishes upon us. As the monkey king finished his story, Dorothy looked down and saw the green and shining walls of the Emerald City before them. The strange creature sat the travelers down carefully before the gate of the city. The king bowed low to Dorothy and then flew swiftly away, followed by all his band. That was a good ride, said the little girl. Yes, and a quick way out of our troubles, replied the lion. How lucky that you have that wonderful cap.